Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Of course, my name is Bryce. I'm here with one of my besties and all of our other besties from all around the world. We're just sitting in front of a fire right now having coffee, and we're just chatting about what the hell is going on in the world today. Again, if you're new here, every other week, my friend Catherine and I, this is Catherine if you're new here, we switch off our channels to do these coffee chats. And again, as Catherine says, these are topics where we don't profess to have an answer. We have opinions, but we really don't know what the answer is. But you know, in quoting Charlie Kirk, what was one of his quotes? When conversation stops, violence begins.
Yeah.
And so this is important for us to just have conversations about this kind of stuff. So before we get into the topic at hand, Catherine, how are you doing today? How's everything going for you?
It's really interesting. My lovely shout out to Cesare from Australia. She's just sent me something. I love getting sent stuff about the UK from different countries because it's hysterical. So in the UK, Keir Starmer, who literally couldn't chase a rubber duck out of the bath, is sort of threatening us all that he is bringing in digital ID now. So that's causing a lot of a stir. There's so much political fighting. I've just put them back. Can you see my Punch and Judy up here?
Oh no, but
I was literally, it's like a joke, Bryce. You know, we've got Keir Starmer and Nigel Farage at each other like two puppets, and I mean puppets in the true things. Here they are here. This is Neil Starr, and this is our politicians. And apparently we've got 2 new COVID strains, which means we've all got to wear masks. I haven't heard about it, but Australia are telling me that's what's happening in the UK. So we've had a response. We've had an attack on a Jewish synagogue with 2 people unalived just a week after you in America have had the church attack.
Yeah,
business as usual, really.
So, it's just, do you know, and I want to say this again, guys. We were talking off camera. I know we're preaching to the choir here, but when we talk about these things, like everything in life is nuanced.
Yeah.
So we talk about these things happening, these false, flappy things happening. As you said before, Catherine, it doesn't mean that people didn't lose their lives. It just means that who we think is responsible is not responsible. And when we're going to talk about the I country today, yes, we have to speak in code, guys. You guys know. You know, I applaud. We have an awesome follower, friend, I'll say. She's been watching both of us for a while, and I won't say her name. If you want to comment below, you can, because I don't want to dox people. In my last video, this awesome follower, friend of ours that we've met through our communities, I'm paraphrasing, left a comment that she grew up Jewish. But she recognizes, she agreed with us that there is a difference between when we criticize a government, we're not talking about the people.
Not at all.
I don't want anything bad to happen to any human being on this earth that isn't hurting other people, that's just living their life, living their culture. The people of the I country, just the regular moms, dads, citizens, they deserve to live in peace, just like we all do. Same for the people in the P country. Yeah. They deserve to live in peace and just live their lives. I believe, Catherine, even in all the craziness we live in, that most people in this world, a mass majority, really don't want to hurt anybody and really don't mind if their neighbor is a little different from them culturally. They just want to be left alone and just live their lives. And I want to remind people that when we criticize the I country, we are talking about, again, their government structure, what would be considered their 3-letter agency, which starts with an M. That's what we're criticizing. So I want to remind people that to think that the government of Israel represents the people would be the same as believing that the 3-letter agency here in America that starts with a C represents the American country. Or the I'm not going to say the number, over in the UK represents the English people. It doesn't.
And please don't ever confuse me with Keir Starmer. I don't want anything. I mean, seriously. And yeah, it's so important what you just said that. And I know everyone knows this, but this is where a lot of times where we all know that words are spells and, you know, it's a language of energy deliberately. And so many times people use phrases, but our definitions of them are completely different. Yeah. And this is where we can get into so much confusion because we seem to have lost the nuance in society at large. If instead of saying to someone, actually, I'm not quite sure, I want to check what you meant by that. Can I ask a few questions? Can you explain in a bit more detail to make sure you haven't got the wrong end of the stick and you're both not using the same word in a completely different context? People don't do that anymore. They just fly off the handle, call names. I mean, I did a video yesterday, a really good video with Gareth Icke about all the digital IDs, CBDCs, the control networks and how it links in and what we can do about it. And, you know, we get the usual things under, oh, you're just controlled opposition and things. And it's like, well, fine, just explain why you think that and give us a chance. People throw these terms. We as a community laugh that people call us conspiracy theorists because we know that came from the C three-letter agency. But at the same time, we throw those things out without being able to back up what we're saying. And it is important now because it's lazy, it's dangerous and it's divisive and it's literally doing the evil people's work for them.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings me into, we have to see the nuance in everything. Again, I'm going to say this. I have plenty of Jewish friends. I've been to synagogue with my Jewish friends before for services. I've sat Shabbat. I've done Shabbat dinners before. I have no problem that I would sit Shiva if somebody passed away, if I was allowed to as a Gentile. Like I would absolutely, I do not, you know, most people in this world, they like having their culture, which I think a lot of times religion, more so anything is culture. And that's important for people. And that's not hurting anybody. It's not hurting anybody to sing from the Torah and Hebrew. That is a beautiful culture. That is your culture. That is, again, not what we're speaking about when we talk about the M organization or Netanyahu or even our president and your prime minister. That's not what we're speaking about. We are not talking about the citizens. For the synagogue over in the UK, my heart bleeds for the people who lost their lives and especially their family. That should never happen. And I guarantee you who they're going to blame it on is not who did it. I guarantee that. And I know they're trying to start this division. That's what they do, you guys. They try to start this division. And it occurred to me, Catherine, this brings me to a conversation that I wanted to have with you because we've been kind of talking about this off camera. And this is this idea of the woke right. We talk about the woke left a lot. But after Charlie Kirk was unalived and that crazy, weird, I'm not even going to call it a memorial service because what the fuck was that? Like, that was like a Broadway show with that acting. Yeah. Like, that's what, I mean, Catherine, if something happens to me, please make sure Todd doesn't throw fireworks off the stage. Like, just please don't.
I know. Don't worry. Yeah, we won't. But I mean, there was, that I know people try to justify it. And it is amazing because I've seen so many people saying how beautiful it was. And I'm like, you can't see you're under mind control.
Exactly.
You can't see it. No one who's in a cult sits there and say, oh yeah, I'm in a cult, I'm being brainwashed. No one who's in an abusive narcissistic relationship at the start sits there and thinks it's you cannot see it when you're deep in it. You have to take a step back or be able to have some space to actually say, oh, now I can see.
Wait a minute. And I think there's a lot of cognitive dissonance where people know they might feel in their gut something's wrong, but they believe the lie so deeply. I think that's why they react to us sometimes. They get triggered by things we say because it's such a friction within themselves. But this brings me to why we're bringing up the I country is that here in the United States, you know, especially, and I know this is probably the same for UK and a lot of other predominantly Christian countries. Now, I know the UK is under the Church of England. The United States, again, I'm going to reiterate this. We don't have a religion here in the United States. That's part of our freedom of religion. Like, guess what? You can believe what you want and the government's going to stay out of it. You know, the government is going to remain secular in order to preserve. And we know Charlie Kirk did not believe in a theocracy. Charlie Kirk wanted the church and state to stay separate, because if the church is secular only, that allows the public to be free in what they believe, right? And we look at things like the Middle East, for example. We don't want a theocracy. Look what happens in all religion is God's opinion. I mean, man's opinion on God, and we all have opinions, and they all stink, right? So with that being said, what we're getting to with the I Country and with Charlie Kirk's unaliving, I believe, and as we saw yesterday with the C's, that the I Country is behind it. Part of what's behind that, because he was pulling back his opinions on the United States, specifically being governmentally in bed with the I Country. Again, that says nothing about the citizens. And what the problem is, Catherine, this is where we're going to play a clip from the Cassiopeians in a second. I realized, because I grew up Presbyterian, I grew up Protestant, I heard all the time that we have to protect the I Country at all cost, because that's God's chosen people in the Christian faith. Now, I ask you again, there's a difference between the government and the people. It's okay to question the government. To protect a people seems very natural and humanitarian. But this is leading me, Catherine, to this idea of a one world religion.
Yeah.
And the realization that I've had that after Charlie Kirk, oh shit, did we walk into a booby trap?
Mm-hmm.
They made the left, the extreme left, so as Bill Maher says, so unbelievably goofy that most people rejected it. So we had one of the biggest landslides here in the United States because the extreme left was so diabolically goofy that most people were like, I can't do this. Well, I think what their plan too was to use the left to deflect people into finding Jesus.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between believing in God and having a faith in God and having a faith in a religion. The religion is part of the system. It's part of the beast, if you will. Right? And so I believe, Catherine, and this is just where I'm sitting right now. Again, I don't have the answers. I don't know if this is true or not. This is just my perception of what I think the one world religion they're going for with the New World Order is Christianity. And we're not talking about the granola Christianity where we're just loving each other and we're really heeding the words of the Christ to just love your neighbor and be good people. I'm talking about the Spanish Inquisition, the Crusades, the witch trials. That is the Christianity that I am talking about. Because, Catherine, I know I've gotten threats. I know Christians don't like us that much. They would be happy to see us burn on a stake. And so is there anything you want to say about that before I play the clip, Catherine?
I think I'm going to have lots more to say once you play the clip, but I think it's really, really important at times like this where we have to really look at our triggers. And, you know, I wasn't brought up particularly religious at all. My religion is nature. That's where I find my God, and all things great, and where I feel the need to be a better person to help all creatures great and small, planet and beyond. And I think what's really dangerous now, and we saw it, to me it's too much of a coincidence that last week you had the attack on the church in the USA.
The Latter-day Saints, yeah.
This week we had the yesterday or the day before we had the attack, yesterday actually, on the synagogue in the UK. And it's all perfectly timing. These timings are not coincidental. And already in the UK, we've had people going on TV from the Jewish community, from the leaders, not necessarily all the congregation and the people, basically saying that we need to use this to bring in more government control to stop protests and stop, you know, extremism, etc. And you can't stop extremism through more control,
more extremism,
government that no one trusts and is actually behind most of these things allegedly anyway. So playing right into the hands, and I'm going to have lots more to say, but I think I'd like to save it till after the clip because it's going to tie in probably to what you're going to play there.
And before I forget, I just want to, when you're speaking about the Latter-day Saints church that got attacked in the United States, it actually didn't make the headlines like Charlie Kirk did. Like, it kind of got brushed under the rug here. If you guys don't know anything about Utah, if you're not from the United States, Utah is like the capital of the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. Hey guys, editing Bryce here. I just want to make a correction here. I do realize that the LDS church that was attacked in Michigan, but for my international audience, just know that the headquarters, pretty much, we can call it that, the headquarters for the Mormon church, the LDS, the Latter-day Saints church, is over in Utah. That's kind of known as like the Mormon Mecca. So even though the Latter-day Saints church was attacked in Michigan, there is a deep connection to Utah through the LDS church, which of course was where Charlie Kirk was when he met his demise. And that's where Charlie Kirk met his demise, was in Utah. And the Latter-day Saints, they have even more so than Protestantism, they are very supportive of the I country because they believe they're the 10 missing tribes. So it's very fascinating that out of all the churches in the whole United States that could have been attacked, before the synagogue in the UK was attacked, it was a Latter-day Saints church. That I don't find coincidental at all.
No,
at all, at all. So let's get into it, guys. I'll put a link to this video. Paula and I read from the Cassiopeians reading on Charlie Kirk, and I cut this section from the video for Catherine and I to do today, because when I had not read this before I did it with Paula, and I was like, holy crap, I literally was just saying this. So it's 2 minutes 30 seconds. So here we go. Not primarily, no. So I guess what they're asking, was Charlie the main target? And they're saying no, he wasn't the main target. Was the primary motivation the effect on the psyche of American people or global people or whatever? Yes. Yeah, I haven't read this, guys, but that's basically what I said before we came on. Like, why would the good guys? They understand how trauma works in the human brain. They do, yeah. So do not go thinking the good guys did this. If you think the good guys did this, I would really implore you to practice that inner voice, that inner dialogue we were just speaking about, and really critically think about this. Well, they're not very good guys if that's what they're doing. No, if they're trying to traumatize people, that's not what the good guys do. They don't do that. So one of these effects, it seems, it's hard to know for sure, but by anecdotal reports, is that a lot of people have turned back to or rekindled. Yes, I was saying this with Catherine the other day, you guys. Whoops, with Christianity at the church, was that the intended, that is part of the fourth D. So fourth density service self want people to get all religious and loosey. Absolutely. I'm so proud of myself, Paula. Yes, you figured that out. I did that. I was talking to you offline being like, oh my God, Todd even said that it hit me like I was telling you, like a bolt of lightning, like prativa, flash of illumination. I went to Todd. Todd was like, no shit, that's what they're doing. He's like, no, that's what they were doing. So the extreme leftists were a decoy. They made the extreme left so goofy that it pushed. It was just ridiculous. Yeah. Pushed people right into the booby trap. And, so many people are so caught up with Revelation in the Bible, how it talks about how it'll be inverted, like good will be bad and bad will be good. But you guys, they wrote Revelation. They wrote the script. This is just their movie playing out. Their movie playing out. And so that hit me like I was like, oh my God. They made the left so extremely goofy that majority of people swung right and it pushed people into religion. And we know that the one world government wants one world religion. What do you think that one world religion is going to be? Christianity. All right. And it says too, so they're just mostly, but be aware that there are also some people that turn to religion and do not become part of the feeding machine. So they're just good Christians doing the right thing, because let's face it, Christianity and religion in many respects have benefit effect on society if done right, yes, but is so seldom done right. So they go on, Catherine, to basically say that there are enough people out there that basically say they're Christians that would never go as far as
Yeah.
what, that's the silver lining, is that they're people, but we do know that there are a lot of violent Christians in the world. There's nothing like the love of Christ. Like then the love of Christ is best demonstrated through Christian hate, right? Like they love you, they say they love you, but they're hating you. Does that make sense? So what are your thoughts on that, Catherine?
I mean, we've been speaking about this since it happened with Charlie. And when I'm talking about it happened, I'm talking about, the event that we've all been shown. And I think it's been pretty obvious that they have many things up their sleeve to catch all different groups. So we've spoken so much, and most of our listeners know so much about this, that they've done a very good job of catching the people that have left mainstream media as their news source by infiltrating alternative media. And so-called the Truther organisation and Q and whatever else is involved in that. But they've also got to do it in the other way. So we've got the woke left, which is quite literally ridiculous. And then it's the perfect opportunity to turn people back to Christ. And yet looking at that memorial service and how much mockery of a true Christian worship there was in there, it's confusing people. And when people are confused and in a fear state and in a state of grief, they are in the perfect state to be brainwashed. And any form of extremism of whatever religion, whatever source of, division they're looking at, to use that is never going to be in the people's best interest. It's always a tool of control, basically, to do the evildoers' deeds for them. So you and I have been talking about this for weeks. It's so obvious in all our countries that they're trying to push people back into the Christian movement, first and foremost, because all our countries have been massively, overrun with all sorts of different religions, deliberately, by design, by opening up all our borders. So that's, again, making a perfect melting pot for them against us scenario and sort of civil unrest, so that they can then get on and put whatever control systems they want to in the first place. And the sad reality is you do not need to be evangelical about it. You can be a very good living by the Christian values without being pushed into an extreme control of the church. And some of the ways that some of the religious leaders have been speaking up, and also have been quite proven to have been paid by the I country to cause division and mislead their congregations, is absolutely disgusting. So I think it's very dangerous. I think that Charlie Kirk had done a wonderful job in catching a lot of the youth in terms of good core, what I would call Christian values. But there's a big difference in that to sort of putting them into the religious cults.
Absolutely. And again, he was very much anti church and state being one thing. He wanted a separation. We do not live in a theocracy. And, I didn't even think about the whole open border thing, Catherine, but that does even create more division between making one religion the bad guy, so people run to another religion as the good guy. And it just, one thing that drives me crazy here, and the people in the United States talk about how, Christians are so persecuted. Well, in other smaller countries, yes, that is true. There are places where Christians are persecuted, but not in the United States. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, it's the most common religion here in the United States. There's a church on every corner. It's, if anybody's been persecuted, Catherine, it's been you and me. Like, we've been the ones. I've had people literally tell me they can't wait to see me burn on the stake. I've had emails that literally tell me that. Why? Because I read the missing books of the Bible. Or why? Because I talk about yoga. So when you are pushing people into one government, if you want your government to have a religion, then you do not believe in freedom. And the woke right is just as book burning, just as into censorship as the woke left. If you don't believe in censorship, then you don't believe in censorship. You think everybody should be able to say whatever they want. But if you only believe in censoring those that you don't agree with, or those that you think are evil because they're not your religion, then you absolutely believe in censorship. That's a form of censorship. So we just have to get I feel like, Catherine, we have to go back to like the foundation of what it means to, what does freedom actually mean? What does anti-censorship actually mean? Like, what do these things actually mean? And do you actually believe in this foundation of letting people be free? Or do you think people have to be ruled under the dogma of government or church? Because the government and the church, let's be honest, they're puppeted by the same group. So,
And evil comes in every single religion,
yes,
and every single race, and every single country, and every sex, all two of them. But, you know, it is, you can't, when you're classifying, labeling a psychopath, there's psychopaths in all of our religions.
all of
There's
them.
psychopaths in all of our countries. There's certainly psychopaths in all of our governments. You know,
Majority, I would say the majority,
our
Catherine.
banks, and certainly a lot of psychopaths in the people, the technocrats, who are really pulling the strings with the bankers, in my opinion. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It's just another label. This is why I am so against any labels. I have never in my life asked someone which political party they support. I have never in my life asked someone what religion they are or aren't part of. It's ridiculous. The only reason I ever ask people what they eat or don't is if they're coming round to dinner and I don't want to serve up something that they're not going to eat.
Right.
It doesn't mean I might, you know, you of course you make assumptions about people, but if that is what you're judging people on, it's so ridiculous. And I think any time where we're seeing a mass agenda and push in one area, we can learn from history, and we can learn that it's never going to be in our best interest. It's just another pot to put people in to control. And I love the analogy of, you know, you put two red ants and green ants in a jar and they're quite happily munching away on the leaves, fine together until you shake the jar. Yeah. And that's what they're doing. They're putting them all in there together. They're putting the different religions in there together, and now they're really shaking the jar. And I think it's so sad. You know, anyone who believes that they don't sacrifice their own people for their agenda is absolutely mad. And in my opinion, it's just so obvious the ploy they're pulling now.
It's so obvious.
To push it. And it's very, very sad, because the ones that are most at risk, and I'm over to the young people, because the young people haven't got the benefit of hindsight to look back and say, oh, I recognise this from before. They tried to do this, you know, 20 years ago to us. Of course, they haven't got that. And of course, the younger ones are the ones that are most influenced by the algorithms that they're seeing. Whatever social media platform you're seeing, do not assume that your friend is seeing the same information yours. They know so much about each of us for the confirmation bias, where our weak points are, what we're going to click to, what we're going to react to. They're even monitoring through the cameras, you know, our emotions as we're responding to it, and they can play us. And the ones they're going to play the most are the youngsters, because they're the ones that have grown up on social media, they've grown up on computer games, they spend far more time interacting like that, and it's fundamentally changed the way that they communicate, and therefore the way that their brains can be programmed, and they know how to do it beautifully. And I think this is where the evil genius term comes from, because they've been planning this for a long while.
Absolutely, they have. Absolutely. And there's some other, you know, so I want to warn you guys, like, you know, they keep saying they're pushing, people are going to the church. What about God?
Yeah.
Look at the wording of this. People are running to the church more. They didn't mention God. They just,
and which God? Because the people that comment to God are making some very weird symbolic signs, and are also acting in very, very strange ways.
Yeah. Is it the Sabbatean? If you guys, and I'm not going to say that too much because I really want to cover that, but and Catherine, if you want to cover that with me, that might have to be done on the R platform.
Yes.
I would tell you guys to look up. I've known about the Sabbatean faith for a while, but I've kind of skirted around it just because it is dangerous to talk about. But look it up, guys. Like, this is a real thing. And it's scary. It's terrifying. And let's talk briefly, Catherine. I want to warn people, because I do want to just touch on Candace Owens a little bit and Turning Point. But I just wanted to just put this out here, guys. Project Bluebeam, when I originally covered it, I don't even know if that video is still up, guys. YouTube might have taken it down. I covered a journalist, a late journalist named Sergei Monast. He was a French Canadian, and He had done, this is back when like journalism was actually a thing, where you actually had to go in and like research, not just be given notes. And he was up, obviously.
Not just be given notes and a big paycheck to read exactly what's on your note.
Yeah. Exactly. You would like earn your keep by actually proving your research, right? Well, he had somehow gotten into this meeting where he, of the, you know, we'll say the Bilderberg, like that group. You guys know what we're talking about. I'm trying to watch my words. And he called his paper the Toronto Protocols because this was the first time publicly a journalist was speaking about Operation Bluebeam. And a lot of the, from what I remember from my research, a lot of the outlets in the 90s at that time up in Canada rejected his story, like wouldn't let him put his research out there. He finally, I think, self-published his research, which basically he was warning people, this is in the 90s, for us peasants, the internet was a new thing. Cell phones were just maybe starting to be whispered about. We still had landlines. Kids still played outside. So the technology behind this was wild for people, especially in the 90s. He was warning people that what they were going to do, you guys, was put hologram Jesus in the sky. So Bluebeam originally was not going to be about aliens. It was going to be about the second coming of Christ, which is terrifying. That is way more terrifying to me than aliens in the sky. Now, the story goes that after he released it and people caught on and it started spreading, he had a heart attack.
And we know that how easy it is with frequencies to bring those on.
Right. So, you know, I think that just kind of proves that this guy was correct. R.I.P. Sergei Monast. Thank you so much for putting this out there. So then we see this turn of the current with Bluebeam, that it's going to be aliens now. They're going to put, and I'm not saying that that's not going to happen, guys. I don't know. But I just feel the need to warn you guys, because I feel like with everything pushing people to Jesus, pushing people to the church, this extreme, people believing we're living in the book of Revelation. Y'all, they wrote Revelation. They wrote it. So obviously they can make the play happen. You know, when we talk about it's a movie, whose movie are we talking about? The Sabbatean movie? Because that's what it seems to be. If they can get now people to run to the church, to run to Jesus, and then chuck the aliens and go back to their original plan, which is hologram Jesus, we're screwed. Because how many devotedly religious people are going to fall for it? How many devotedly religious people conspiracy theorists who believe that this is going to be aliens are actually going to fall for a Jesus in the sky that's telling them to do certain things? Okay.
And do you remember, we mentioned this a bit last week, so do you remember this came up again when the Notre Dame burnt down in Paris and Michelle Obama was there? And
he was there.
Do you remember that they were looking at then thinking that they were going to use Operation Bluebeam, but it was that other, what's the name of the other one? The one who everyone thinks is Jesus, you know, the
Rothschild one?
No, yeah. You talk about him the whole time. My name's gone blank on his name. You know the classic picture of Jesus that we see?
Oh, Cesare Borgia.
Cesare Borgia. So this is the thing, is when they put the fake Project Bluebeam Jesus up, if that's what they're planning to do, and I really feel that they are, and they were going to before, and then it sort of got blown out of the water a bit. Too many people were talking about it. But it's not even going to be the real Jesus that they're putting a picture of. So talk about worshipping false gods.
Yeah, Cesare freaking Borgia. You're worshipping the pictures of Jesus with the Pantene Pro V hair.
Exactly.
Blue eyes. That is Cesare Borgia, y'all. That is not Yeshua. That was a hedonistic. I've covered Cesare. Like, I'll tag that video down below. And so, but isn't that clever, Catherine, that they, all those years ago, centuries ago, that they created an image of who they said was going to be Jesus, and in every freaking church all over the world, many generation after generation after generation, that's the picture that they have hanging up. So we haven't
rewritten the Bible. Sorry to interrupt, but it's so important because people think that they're studying a real religion, but the Bible has been written so many times, rewritten. Books have been taken out, huge changes have been made, and images have changed. So they're brainwashing you to be worshipping false idols. And anyone, this is the thing. How do we know? All these texts are so polluted now by different versions. Who knows when they're reading it what's true and what's not. And it is really frightening how so many real believers, it's really, really sad to me, actually, have their information is just completely polluted.
Absolutely not. And I always, Catherine, it's sad whenever I'm listening to somebody present research, the minute they quote the Bible as serious research, I turn it off because they've just lost credibility to me, because this is not an opinion. And I'm just going to remind you guys, because the woke right needs to be reminded this, just like the woke left, feelings are not facts.
Yeah.
Feelings are not facts. Facts are facts. And it is a fact. It is an absolute academic fact. We have receipts, we have proof that from the 1700s at least, the Bible has been changed 55 times. I'm not even going to go into how many times before the 1700s it was changed.
Exactly. We don't know, because
we don't know.
We just don't have that information. And it's so sad. I feel really sorry for people, because most people go into religion with a really, best intentions to really use it as a guidance for how to be and live the best life possible for themselves and for everyone else. And when even that has been manipulated, what does it bring you back to? It brings you back to how we supposedly used to live as humans, how most other species live to, is you are living in balance with nature. Yeah. And when you live in balance with nature, you tend to make very good decisions for behalf of your species.
Friends, we have got a brand new video over on Fusion Body Studio with senior teacher Todd Roderick. This is a Yoga Strong yoga drills video, all levels, 30 minutes. In this video, senior teacher Todd Roderick takes people through particular movements that should help empower you in your yoga practice. Even though Todd is an Ashtanga practitioner and teacher, these yoga drills are good for any type of lineage. These yoga drills can also help with any other form of movement, as in these drills, Todd is mainly focusing on movement in the core and in the hips, making sure the hips and the core stay nice and strong. Todd himself has been a dedicated student of Ashtanga Yoga since 1995, and he is the most experienced Ashtanga teacher in the southeastern United States. Beginning in 1997, Todd started his journey over into Mysore, India, to study at the Ashtanga Yoga Research Institute. During his time there, Todd studied directly under the late guru Sri K. Pattabhi Jois and Sharat Jois. In 1998, Sri K. Pattabhi Jois gave Todd direct permission to teach the Ashtanga Yoga lineage system in the United States. Todd continued to study with Sharat after Sri K. Pattabhi Jois's passing. Todd also studied at the Ashtanga Yoga Center with Tim Miller in San Diego from 1998 to 1999, and with Rolf Najakai in Thailand in 2007. We are truly blessed to have someone of Todd's caliber and experience being a contributing teacher here on Fusion Body Studio. So if you would like to practice with Todd on Fusion Body Studio, you can enter discount code AYA20 at checkout. AYA20, that stands for Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta. Todd's Shala here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of the busiest shalas in the whole southeastern United States. So if you enter discount code AYA20 at checkout for Fusion Body Studio, you will get 20% off your tuition at Fusion Body Studio for the next 6 months. On top of that, you get 7 days of a free trial before your credit card is charged. Our tier 1 price at Fusion Body Studio is $25 a month. That gives you access, unlimited access, to the full library of all of our workout videos, including Todd's videos and my videos and Cindy's videos and other teachers' videos, a whole library of fitness boutique and at-home gym at your fingertips for only $25 a month. That is quite a deal. That basically is a price of a drop-in at a yoga studio here in Atlanta, Georgia. But if you want more than that, you can go up to tier 2, which is $40 a month, which gives you unlimited access to all of the exercise classes, but also gives you access to the workshops, where we have workshops over the Bhagavad Gita, health, healing, and beyond, the teachings, the holistic teachings of Krishnamacharya, and a Vedic chanting course led by Todd Roderick, as well as Todd is one of the few teachers in the United States that's qualified to teach Vedic chanting. With already low prices and a 20% discount on top of that by using code AYA20, you cannot go wrong with this deal. And we look forward to seeing you over on Fusion Body Studio, where you have the opportunity, the unique opportunity to practice daily with master teachers from all over the world. We look forward to seeing you on the mat. I agree, and I think that goes balance with nature. It goes back to, if you have a belief in God, then challenging a religion should not matter to you. And I think what we're seeing, though, Catherine, and what the powers that be, the bad guys, have tried to do is to get people to believe in a system.
Yes,
Believe in a system. The system that's not nature, that's not created by God, that's not divine. This is just a system. It's a matrix, right? If somebody's saying to you that the Bible has been altered, and that triggers you, then I would ask you to kindly self-reflect on that, because my question then, if you're triggered by that, is, well, is your belief in the system or is it in God? Because if you actually believe in God, then questioning a belief system in a dogma should not bother you at all, because the foundation of that inner knowing of God is there. I feel like animals have an inner knowing of God. I feel like animals have an inner knowing of their place in this world. I think that's why even though animals fight for survival, we see that with animals when it comes to their time, when it's actually their time, they handle that with so much peace and grace than humans do. And I think it's because they have that faith of knowing when to let go. And so I would really ask you that, like, if talking about the Bible triggers you, then why? People, the Bible is the word of God. How do you know that? I ask that to all the people all the time, Catherine. How do you know that?
And if the Bible's the word of God, there's so many people in this world that don't have access to the Bible. So what sort of God would leave those out of the equation? It just doesn't make any sense.
No sense.
Loving a God or creator, whatever your word resonates with you, is so inclusive. If they made every single one of us in the image of God, and every religion believes their gods are the real gods, and we don't need this division. For me, the core principles of religion and having a place to worship with like-minded people in a congregation where you're all there, collective energy in a positive way, can be something really, really positive. But it's also really easy to manipulate that. And I think for me, the ways and why so many of us feel so confused in today's world, what do we believe, who do we trust, etc., is because we've been lied to on every single level, that we've stopped taking a step back and sitting there. There's beautiful people in all religions that work as leaders of their churches or their versions of their churches or their worship places. And there's equally really corrupt people in there. And that just because you're a man of God doesn't necessarily mean you're acting like one.
100%. I could not agree with you more. And so I ask you guys to reflect on that. And, in Christianity, they talk a lot about the mark of the beast, the mark of the beast, the mark of the beast. People have tried to figure out what that is. Well, I'm going to just ask you guys to consider, as Aristotle says, it's a sign of an intelligent mind when you can entertain an idea without accepting it. What if the mark of the beast is Christianity? What if that's what that is? So it just seems that they're gearing up for the one world religion to come through, the Vatican to come through. And so just be careful,
Really
guys.
interesting. When you're saying that, my nose is really itching. It's not a
Oh,
thing.
that means
I
it's
promise you, everyone,
true.
it's not a secret sign, but it's like almost a feather dusted my nose then. Look. Um, and also what people are calling Christianity, because how can I explain this? I'm not explaining myself very clearly. The thing is, we've all grown up being taught what our version of religion from our parents, from
Yep.
our schools, from our religious leaders, etc. But at a pure state, we don't need a book. We don't
No.
need to be in church. We don't need to. If that helps you, it's brilliant to use these tools when they help you and serve you. It's just being aware of when they can leave you insane. So everything in there, there's certainly bits in the Bible, particularly the Old Testament, where you're like, wow, this isn't how I want to live my life.
Oh.
I want to get involved in all these sacrifices. And therefore, you've got to use your own discernment in all of this and just feel into what feels right to you. And if so many young people in particular, but all people, are being led into this, as you say, and the Charlie Kirk thing is just pushing everyone in that direction, really sit back and think, why
Fine.
when can you think of any example where a public event like this has been used with so much propaganda? I mean, if you think across the globe, how many people who've never heard of Charlie Kirk before are involved in these conversations? Why?
Yeah, and the thing is that Charlie Kirk did not want Christianity to be a state religion. So it's going against what he actually even believed in, guys. How sick is that? And I just want to say, if you're having trouble hearing this, you need to ask yourself a few questions. If Christianity is a pure religion, what people are claiming, the brainwashed people, the programmed people are claiming it's a pure religion, then why is it the biggest religion in the world? Why is the Bible the most number one? For years now, it's been the number one top selling book. Why? If it's pure, because we know that the controllers of the world control everything from our medicine to our education to our food. So you think they're just going to leave that? No, of course not. They are in control of that. And why, my friends, do the Windsor family have a
I was just
copyright on
about.
the Bible?
Can
They
you
own
repeat
it.
that
Sorry.
for people? Can you repeat that, because I think so few people haven't heard of this.
So the Bible is supposed to be the word of God, right? How do you get a copyright, Catherine? Because you created it, yeah? Like you copyright
Yeah.
things that legally that you own. The Bible has a copyright on it, you guys. So that regardless of who owns the copyright, that should tell you a few things that this is not the word of God, that this is a creation. Someone created it. But when you see who owns the copyright, it's the Windsors. Who are the
It's
Windsors?
interesting because I'm just looking that up as we speak, and I'm just going to say, because it's
I
not
have a
coming
video.
up with
If it
that.
doesn't come up, if they scrubbed it, Catherine, because they tend to do that sometimes, I have a video, guys, about King James, the King James Bible. I'll link it down below where I show
Yeah.
websites. And I started doing that because they tend to do that. Like you'll show receipts the next
Oh,
year.
massive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because that happens all the time in the scientific, as particularly in the health world. So many papers that my friends and I were sharing 2 years ago have been scrubbed off the internet now.
Yeah,
So
that's same
many
with my
of them.
research for history. I will tag the King James video down below, guys, because I showed websites in that video.
Yeah.
So you can see that the Windsors own the Bible. And before you start saying, well, I don't have a King James Bible, if you have an NIV Bible or any type of like New American Bible, it's an offshoot of King James. I hate to be mean, I'll be like dumbasses. It's an offshoot of the King James. It's the same thing. They just took the these and the thous out. Like that's all they did was take the these and the thous out. It's still the same thing. Like we have to get realistic about this. And if we want to go further in that, guys, and it's in this King James Bible of mine, for the Americans, the Puritans, which Catherine in England, they had the Puritans. That was Oliver Cromwell. So the English people that got on a boat and came to the New World as Puritans, same as Oliver Cromwell, They would never have allowed the King James Bible on the American continent. They knew it was corrupt. Our ancestors knew that. They knew it was corrupt. King James was not a Christian. He was an open Satanist. He believed, it makes me just mad, he believed that he was half God. He believed that he was also a god. That's why it's the King James Bible, not the Holy Bible. This is also the same Bible that the freaking Freemasons use. So riddle me that, Batman. Like this is, and we know the three Freemasons are trying to rebuild Solomon's temple. I've gone over Solomon. Solomon was the build back better guy of that, if he even existed back of that day. He exiled his political enemies or unalived them. He also taxed the crap out of Judea to the point where the people were extremely poor. He was wealthy. He carpooled women, if you know what I mean. He carpooled women. He had we'll say a warehouse of 600 girls. Is that some guy you want to venerate?
I know. And I would say, like, finishing off people, because we are living in a confusing world. And like, for me personally, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want people to find communities where they get solace and support. I think that's absolutely crucial. And for a lot of people, their church community is that. And I think that can be really positive so long as you've got your eyes open and you're not being gaslit and shamed. Anytime there's any sort of threat or coercion, or the wrath of God will descend on you if you don't do this.
You should get out to question.
The red flags. We've done loads of videos about red flags. So a loving community that will accept you, warts and all, and encourage you to be the best version of yourself without shaming you for not doing things exactly their way is really, really important for people. And wherever you find that, I think it's important. But I think for me, I want people to be really, really, I know we probably haven't got many young people watching this, but really have your eyes open as to any time you're being corralled into a sheep pen, ask yourself why.
Yeah, and I'm talking to the extremists,
Yes.
that have sent me like threats saying that they want to see me burn at a stake. That's who I'm talking about. I have an absolute love of God. I absolutely 100% believe in a God, a creator. I believe that life is magical and that God loves all of us and that we're all beautiful and special and that religions are just an expression of people's opinions. And a lot of times religion have to do with culture too. There's a lot of culture involved. The Western worlds are the template of our culture in the Western world revolves around Christianity. So we can't really escape that. That's just part of being a Gentile in the Western world, right? Just like Hinduism is a part of the culture in India, Buddhism in Asia, in a lot of Asia, it is part of that culture. But for this extremist, and that's one thing the Cassiopeians did say, is that this vigilante side of Christianity that they're hoping to push people in isn't going to work. Because some people it will work. Trust me, some people will go vigilante violent, but they are just got wicked hearts anyway. But most people who will go into that trap of Christianity will start to go, hold on a second, when things start to get even worse. And so that's what they said will happen, because a lot of people, there are people who have an incredible love of God who go to church every Sunday that would never hurt anybody and might be like, well, yeah, the Bible's been changed, but it doesn't stop my love of God, right? It doesn't stop.
And it doesn't stop you taking the good lessons and the parables, and in terms of in the way it's meant to help you to stay on the straight and narrow.
Jesus' lessons were amazing. He said, what were the two commandments of Jesus? The only commandments Jesus gave in the Bible are love each other as I have loved you and love thy God with all thy heart. He didn't say love my God. He said love thy God with all thy heart. Whatever you perceive to be as God, love that creator of yours, and then love each other as I have loved you. Don't treat people terribly, right? Like kind to people. So you have to actually ask yourself that, is your church actually implementing the teachings of Christ, or is your church implementing something else? And so, just be weary of a hologram Jesus. Just be weary of a hologram Jesus, especially if hologram Jesus tells the Americans to give up these pew-pews. The real Jesus would want you to be able to protect yourself. So just be mindful of of things they're going to have us do, or get the digital, or get one of these, or, just be very careful of what hologram Jesus is going to do. So, well, to end it off, Catherine, we were talking about turning.
Genius plan.
I know, right? It is kind of a genius plan. I mean, I've said that before. They might be diabolical, but they're smart.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're sitting here around your James Bond table plotting with your Persian cat on your lap, which I love Persian cats. So, but in all seriousness, we've got to laugh a little bit about it, because with a little bit of humor, drop some of the barriers and some of the things that we can't see through. So I think that was beautiful how you finish off with the two things that Jesus said, because that it doesn't matter whatever your belief systems are, that applies.
Hold on to those two lessons and ask yourself, with anything your church is asking you to do, your government's asking to you, hologram Jesus is asking you to do they coincide with these two laws, commandments? And no, a loving God, a loving Messiah, Christ, would actually want you, the Americans, to be able to protect yourself. Being able to protect yourself. And I'm telling this to the Americans because we are one of the few countries that is still legally able to have these. And I think that responsibility is on us to maintain those, because we cannot fall. We have to be the last man standing in order to help everybody else around the world maintain some sense of humanity. Because if everybody in the world if these are taken from every person in the world, we are screwed. And so we need to be able to maintain that. Well, I want to ask you one last question, kind of on a comical note, kind of not. Catherine, I think Candace Owens just doesn't realize that we're her best friends. I don't think she realizes that. What are you thinking about her deep dives into Charlie Kirk and Turning Point?
I'm absolutely loving it. I mean, I think people these days, they expect everyone to be perfect, and I think everyone needs a best friend like Candace.
Yes.
And I think everyone needs to. I was speaking about this yesterday with Gareth Eyecatchy. I think the problem nowadays is people criticize others that have got strengths of their convictions and beliefs when they haven't, because it's almost like holding a mirror up to yourself to see what's possible as a human when you're that brave and that courageous and you really stand on your principles. And I've seen Candace admit loads of times when she's wrong, which I think is an absolute disgrace. I'm absolutely loving it. And to be honest, it's the only ones I'm really watching now, because I think we've got so much to learn about courage. I think so many people have lost their courage. She's just announced that she's homeschooling her children. All of these things, the whole point is we're not meant to know everything, but when something becomes blatantly clear to us, if we don't adjust our behaviour accordingly, then it's on us. Absolutely. And I think we've all been given, so long story short, I'm absolutely loving it. You don't have to believe in everything. I have concerns that she might have people in her life that are controlling her. I think we all have. So yes, I do. I think you often can't see that. I don't know, because I've never met her personally at all, but I'm so proud to see. It's like when I watch the Olympic gymnasts or Olympic anything, when you see what human beings are capable of climbing Everest or doing these sports, or being as brave and as Candace Owens and David Icke, where these people that really will take all the ridicule, take the hit, take the abuse, and still do it anyway, because they got that courage and the conviction that they know, as she says, we don't know, but we know. And I think if more of us, all of this would be over. It's such a cliche. David Icke said for years, we've just got to say no. And when people say no with a condition, like, I won't take the jibby jab unless I'm going to lose my job, I won't take the jibby jab unless I can't travel abroad, you've just opened up. It's not a no. You haven't burnt your bridges. I won't take the jibby jab, full stop. I won't take digital ID, full stop. I won't let them gaslight and let this turn into another RFK, where we all know we're being lied to and we're all too scared to say something about it. So it sounds really condescending. I'm so proud to see what some humans are capable of and how brave they are. And I think it's such an inspiration. So for me, I say go Candace.
I know I was telling you, Catherine, before we signed on, that somebody left a comment. I'm paraphrasing. It was like, God, everybody needs a friend like Candace. They're like,
Yeah.
if something happened to me and I wasn't alive, I hope I would have a friend like Candace that would be like a dog with a bone and not let it go. Because she is literally fighting for the truth. And I think she's saying what we're all thinking. She's not afraid to call out even though she herself is a devout Christian, she's not afraid to call out the I country. And I agree with her. I agree with a lot. I'm skeptical of Erika Kirk, but she's called out Turning Point. I definitely, Catherine, I think I definitely believe that there's some snakes in the grass at Turning
Big
Point.
time.
Yep.
Big time. They can't not be, I'm afraid. Well, they can not be, but
Yeah.
for me, I think there's some huge ones, and we're about to see how deep it goes. But equally, I will just say, and again, not based on any evidence, just based on, is if you're in a situation where you do not know who to trust and loved ones have been literally assassinated, you've got to play a clever game. Otherwise, you or your children or your family or whoever is going to be next. So I think we've got to, any time you're shut down for asking questions, and please don't confuse, I really, really mean this. I think as a society, we've got to stop this ridiculous attitude of like, you can really like someone and admire their work and not agree with everything they say.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter whether I
Exactly.
agree with everything they say at all. If you're an Olympic sports person, you have to be inherently, I'm putting it in inverted commas, selfish, because you have to put your training, your nutrition, your recovery first. And we've got to stop building people up to knock them down. There's a few brave people that have been sounding the warning things. Candace Owen, relatively new. People like David Icke, Max Egan, other people that you've mentioned, like the one you mentioned earlier from Canada. These brave people that have been at huge personal cost to themselves and their families, warning us all. I think give credit where credit's due. I really do.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, Catherine, like I don't agree with Candace Owens on everything, but I'm a huge fan of her. I think she's incredible. I don't agree with everything, but it doesn't change the fact that I really like her. And I think her heart's in the right place. And you're right, Catherine, we can not agree with everything somebody says, but still really respect the person. And so, and absolutely, I want to end on something too, just for our audience, and I'm just going to briefly mention this, especially since we're talking about them using Charlie Kirk to bring in this one world religion. I did a video a while ago. I'll see if it's still up. If it's still up, I'll tag it down below, on necromancy. Necromancy is a form of black magic that uses the dead to cast spells. Is this not what they're doing with Charlie Kirk? Are they not using Charlie Kirk? Is this not a form of necromancy to use him to pull people into the church to cast the spells? I just would consider that for a second. And I hope, in all honesty, and I think I can speak for you too, Catherine, when I say this, and for our audience, I really just want his soul to rest in peace.
Absolutely. And we're going to get loads of comments saying, you idiots, you don't know, he's not really dead.
Yes, he is.
I don't know. I really don't know. And for me, the point of the matter is, someone like me is probably never going to know. But the point is you can still see what they're trying to do with this. And it's been absolutely gobsmacking. I mean,
obvious. It's so obvious.
So obvious, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, look at how many people are aware of it now. The amount of people I've seen critiquing, doesn't matter what you believe, did hit him, didn't hit him, whatever. All of these, there's so many possibilities out there, but the point is everyone is asking questions now.
I don't think we responded the way they wanted us to respond, Catherine. I think a percentage did go deeper into the church, but a lot of people, if you go on YouTube, we are not the only ones going, record scratch, hold on.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? Like, we're not the only people. And I will say, for those that still think that, the white hats put Charlie in witness protection program, guys, watching somebody be eliminated in front of you is a form of trauma, and they let that video play on repeat all over social media. So even if it's faked, it's not faked by the good guys. They're trying to program your brain. It's trauma. If it was a good guy thing, it wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't be showing that. Absolutely.
No.
There's plenty of other ways to do it without doing that. And you imagine a young person who sat there and watched that.
Yeah,
Imagine what that's going to do to their subconscious about their belief that they can speak up for what's important to them.
And guys, that really, I've heard people from other countries say, well, the whole thing it didn't really happen. Yes, it did. It really happened. There really was an event, but there were really kids there from the college. You know, we've got the controlled opposition and the woke right did a really good job of us losing our humanity. And as we said, Catherine, when these false flappy things happen, they actually do happen. It's just who's doing it isn't who you think is doing it. People are losing their lives. It is, and we can't lose our humanity just because of some control. We have to remain that. We have to be better than them and have that humanity, you know. And so,
I mean, there's no way whatever could have happened. I mean, I don't believe for 1 minute that the Trump assassination was real. I mean, either that or he's got a very good medbed to hear a hole in his ear that quickly. So. That's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. But the whole point is whatever happened there could not have happened without people that he was very close to betraying him.
Yeah. And have you seen Catherine?
In one way or another, you know, in one way or another, because, that's all I'm going to say. And I think the whole point is we can get down to the pedantics and everyone's entitled to their own belief about what they believe did or didn't happen. But for me, it comes back to the thing of what are they distracting us from? Where are they trying to herd us with this? What are they trying to do with it? Because either way, this is causing loads of division. Because some of the comments you see where people are saying, you stupid idiot, of course it's a fraud, this or that. It's just causing so much division. Yet again, it's just awful. And anyone who's watched the Candace stuff, I mean, you seriously couldn't make this shit up.
No.
When you see how badly it's done, and yet they still get away with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, that's another thing too with the woke right, as you mentioned. I had that in the video I did about Erika. Some woman just immediately called us names because she thought Erika did a beautiful job. And my response was basically, can you explain to us why your opinion is different from us without calling us names? Because that's what the woke left does, right? That they do the same thing. The woke left, if they can't debate with us, they just call us bigots or racist. The woke right does the exact same thing.
You have to be able to ask questions.
Yeah.
If it shouldn't be triggering to you, if you're genuine. Yeah. If people didn't ask questions about why do you want me to get on this train with a star on me?
Yeah.
Hello, you know, when has it ever been to the advantage of someone to not ask questions? And if you're trying to, just because we might think that, and I do think it's very, very odd. I do think it's incredibly odd, but I also can see another scenario in my head, and I have no idea which it is, that also she's got 2 children to protect. Allegedly, she's got 2 children to protect. I don't know, never will know. I mean, people are still arguing about who's a man and who's a woman in very high political places. So look, if we can argue about things like that, it's ridiculous and they can get away with it. The point is don't try and shut someone down who's listening to their intuition, because that is so dangerous. Any of you parents out there, any of us, full stop, the best thing we can do now is turn us off, get outside, breathe, close your eyes, learn to listen and connect with your body, and learn to listen to those warning signs it's giving you.
Absolutely. And I'll leave it at that. If you disagree with what Catherine and I are saying, that's totally fine, because we don't profess to have the answers. We're just telling you guys what our opinions are and what we're seeing from our perspective. Multiple heads are better than one, right? That's where we get different perspectives. If you disagree with us, tell us why you disagree with us. Don't name call us. Because if you name call us because you disagree with us, you're no better than the woke left. Like proving our point, basically. You're basically just proving our point. So
educate us. We're here to be educated. I want to learn. I want to know what the truth is. I want to know what's happened. Yeah.
And just because I don't want a hologram Jesus doesn't mean I don't believe in God. Those are two totally different things too. So, and anyway, guys, I thank you, Catherine. This was a fun one. I'm sure this was good.
It was a really fun one, and it's loads of food for thought. And I think, you know, I've learned so much over the last few years, and I'm so grateful for these comments, for the comments of people watching this. Please do let us know what you think, respectfully. We really genuinely want to know. I want to know all opinions, because everyone sees a different thing, everyone feels a different thing, and we can all learn respectfully from each other.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. Well, next week we will be back on Catherine's channel. So, and we'll see what happens this week. We never know at this point. We might have already had hologram Jesus by the time
this goes out. Exactly.
So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye, everybody.
Okay, bye.